Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sports Talk in the Burgh, the show where we talk about sports well in the Burgh. I'm your host, Zach Jones, and joining me today are two very special guests, the wonderful Nate Fennell and the dashing Cam Wickline. Boys, how are we?
We're doing great.
I guess I'm not dashing.
You
It's
couldn't be.
disappointing. A little disappointing.
Well, the leaves may be dying, but that means all the sports are thriving, so let's get right into it. This past weekend, the Toronto Blue Jays snuffed out the hopes and dreams of Mariner fans, punching their ticket to the first World Series appearance since back-to-back wins in the early 90s. They'll meet last year's champions in the Los Angeles Dodgers on Friday as baseball's biggest show gets underway. Cam, who do you got winning the Fall Classic?
I think it's an easy choice, and I really wish it wasn't such an easy choice, but it's the Dodgers. The Dodgers are for sure taking it. They're a super team that everyone's known was a super team, going all the way back to spring training. And finally, their Avengers-level God squad of pitching finally made it healthy to October. Glasnow's got a sub-1 ERA in the postseason. Snell's the same thing. Yoshinobu Yamamoto's sub-2 in the postseason ERA. Shohei Ohtani, he throws the ball too. And that's not even mentioning their absurd lineup that they got. This team's disgusting. I hate the way the MLB's ran. We'll get there in a second, but it's the Dodgers. I don't even think it's going to be close. 5 games.
I actually think you're wrong here because the Dodgers are trying to do something that hasn't been done since 2000, and that's go back-to-back. Nobody's done this since the Yankees. This is a really hard thing to do, especially in the MLB, so I'm going to be going with the Blue Jays here. You know, they finished a game better than the Dodgers in the regular season. They've looked really good in the postseason, and honestly, they're going to feed off of that crowd every single home game they have. It's going to be electric. Vlad is on fire. He's hitting .442 with a 1440 OPS, 6 homers, 12 RBIs. There's going to be no better hitter in that series than Vlad. He's electric. And I know that's a bold statement with all the talent that the Dodgers have, but nobody's performing at a high level like Vlad is right now.
That's cool. Vlad's going to be really, really great whenever he has to face 4 aces in a row, and then because it's the playoffs, number 1 ace just comes back around. He's going to do nothing but face the best pitchers in the world. And this isn't just MLB caliber. This is the best of the best of the best. I don't really even think it's going to be close. Like I said, 5 games is my prediction. I wish it wasn't the case, but this team, even if you completely ignore how good their pitching is, in the regular season they were second in home runs and RBIs. They hit the ball out of the ballpark. They even got guys at the top of the line that hit for average. People forget that they have like 4 MVPs on their roster if you don't even talk about the otherworldly talent that is Shohei Ohtani. So, like, I don't even know what to say. It makes me sick, but it's the Dodgers. It's always going to be the Dodgers. Until something changes, the Dodgers are going to win again next year. And I get anything can happen in baseball, but the only thing that's ever going to stop this team is injuries, and they're healthy.
The game is played on the diamond, and I don't think there's, the probabilities that go into baseball. I mean, there's only a third there's only a 1 in 3 chance that anyone even gets on base, and that's like being generous. Yeah. So like, whenever the bats are hot, you can't count them out. And like the way they've been playing, you said 442 from Vlad. I mean, how can you just discount that?
I understand where you're coming from, but it's the old saying, defense wins championships. The baseball version of that is pitching wins championships. I understand Vlad's hot, but oh my goodness, like what is he going to do when he's facing these arms?
Vlad's not the only hot one that they have right now, though. If we're talking payroll here, the Blue Jays have the 5th highest payroll in the MLB, and then they went 8-5 against the Yankees, who have the 3rd highest payroll. So the Blue Jays are no stranger to taking down teams with a higher payroll.
I'm not even necessarily talking about payroll. I'm just talking about the skill difference between the Dodgers. I think if you played the Dodgers versus the rest of the league, the Dodgers still win. It's irritating, but that's how I think it is.
And we'll see on Friday if David can take down Goliath. But staying in the diamond, Shohei Ohtani sent the Dodgers to the World Series in one of the greatest all-time single-game performances, hitting 3 home runs while striking out 10 Brewers. In 2 seasons since leaving the Angels, Shohei is making his 2nd straight World Series appearance, with another chance to add to his plethora of accolades. Being an absolute unicorn of the sport with how he can hit and pitch, is it fair to say Shohei is the greatest player we've ever seen on the diamond? Nate, you look like you got something to say.
No, I feel like that's very disrespectful to guys like Barry Bonds and Hank Aaron. Like, Shohei's played 8 seasons. I mean, he has just over 1,000 hits. Guys like Bonds, he has over 2,900. Aaron has over 3,700. And basically every other career stat that they have is just so much better than Shohei. I'm aware that he's a pitcher, but he's been hurt so much throughout his career that he's barely gotten to pitch. He's had 528 innings across 8 seasons in the MLB. Like, that is just not enough for me to be considering him that great of a two-way guy. Yes, he's good, but he's got to keep performing at the pitching level for another couple years.
So you said 500, you said 520, 30-ish, something around there. In today's MLB, that's 3 to 4 seasons of a starting pitcher. He's played 8 years. Make that 12, because no one else pitches while hitting. So you could argue he's had 12 seasons in the MLB. 12 MVP caliber seasons. This is his 8th year in the MLB. He's about to go win his 4th MVP. We've never seen this level of consistency, and I understand that he hasn't necessarily been able to stay healthy on the pitching side of the ball, but he's hit while doing it, and he hasn't just kind of hit. He's been the best hitter in the league. Aaron Judge is going on a run that if Shohei Ohtani didn't exist, people would be talking about as the next Barry Bonds, except for the fact that Shohei Ohtani does exist. He's keeping up with Aaron Judge, and he's doing it while having a 3 ERA on the pitching side of the ball over his career. These numbers are just absurd. Like, I don't understand how you can argue he's not the greatest of all time. I think if he didn't pitch, he'd still be in contention for being one of the top 10 hitters of all time if he continued this pace.
Okay, that's the thing, though. You said one of. You don't think that unicorn status of him hitting and pitching inflates his value a little bit?
No,
A little bit too much?
No, I don't. It'd be different if he was say a top 10 hitter in the league and then just an average pitcher through to a 4 or 5 ERA, except he doesn't. He would legitimately be in Cy Young conversations if he didn't hit. Again, except for the fact that he does, and he's going to win the MVP as a result. He's going to win the MVP. Is same thing with I was just talking about the Dodgers. As long as injuries don't happen, Shohei Ohtani's the MVP for the next 5 years. If he stays healthy, he's going to finish with 10 MVPs, and then it won't even be a conversation. He's the greatest MVP or greatest player of all time.
I'm actually glad that you brought up Aaron Judge, because I brought up some older guys for the historical career numbers. But even Aaron Judge, career numbers, they played about the similar amount of seasons throughout the MLB. In terms of hitting, Aaron Judge clears him in every single category. Hits, batting average, home runs, RBI. And then if you look at WAR, you take Shohei's WAR, you combined his pitching WAR with his hitting WAR, Aaron Judge still clears him.
Aaron Judge is one of the greatest hitters of all time. I'm not denying that. But he doesn't pitch. No one has pitched like this since Babe Ruth, and even he had to give it up before he became the offensive juggernaut.
I think you're sleeping on Madison Bumgarner. Shout out to him.
And with the MLB being the only sport without a salary cap, payrolls in the sport vary vastly. The gap between the highest spending team and the lowest spending team is more than $200 million. This leads to a much, much higher concentration of talent for the teams with the highest payrolls, typically those of larger markets. This year's World Series contenders are Toronto and Los Angeles are both top 5 in payrolls this year, while at the bottom 5, like teams like the Twins and Pirates, struggle to even sniff contention. Who's to blame for this vast disparity in talent, though? Nate?
I would say it's the bottom, honestly, because you can't hate the owners that just want to win baseball championships. I mean, that's the goal, isn't it? To put out a product that is better than every other team's. There's been 5 teams so far this season that had a payroll of under $100 million. The Rays, the Pirates, the White Sox, the A's, and the Marlins. None of them finished over 500. And, you know, there was 12 teams that had a payroll of over 200 million. It seems like the trend in the league is that most owners are understanding that you have to pay to win, and just the teams that aren't paying to win are just looking to complain about it.
That's such a bogus argument, Nate. And I gotta be honest, if it hadn't played out in the other 3 leagues, then I could kind of understand where you were coming from. Except for the fact that no professional sports league started with a salary cap. At some point, people had to figure out that a salary cap makes sports better, and ever since there's been lockouts in those other leagues, the leagues have improved. There's parity among the entire league. Right now, teams like the Pirates, even if they spend to the tippity top of what they could spend, their budget might be somewhere between a third to a half of what the Dodgers can spend. And whenever you've got guys like who I brought up, Shohei making $1 gazillion, Blake Snell making $1 gazillion, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman. The Pirates can't even afford one of them. You don't think there's an issue with the fact that the only thing people care about with Paul Skeens is the fact that he won't be in a Pirates uniform in a few years? And because of that, my answer for if it's the top or the bottom, it's neither. It's the greedy top 1% players that are the reason. No. I'm not talking about Jack Sawinski or Adam Frazier wanting to make more money. It's the fact that the MLBPA is threatening to lock out because they don't want a salary cap, because the PA is ran by the top 1% of those players. It is the Aaron Judges, the Shohei Ohtanis. If the cap comes in, they won't be able to make their $70 million a year. They'll only be able to make $60 million. Oh, poor guys. The other 99% of the league, their salaries don't get impacted, and then parity across the league comes in. Yeah, I blame the top percent of the players.
Let me ask you a question. If you worked your tail off your entire life to make it to something like the MLB, and you were the best player in the MLB, stop. If you were the best player in the MLB and you had to support your family, would you be like, nah, I don't need that much money. I'm not really
All right,
looking
Cam
to settle
Hayward,
up."
I'm so sorry you can't support your family on the $60 million a year. You need that 70. Shohei Ohtani's going to go make a boatload of money. I don't care. For the betterment of the sport, someone needs to step up. And yes, it is there.
That'll wrap up our baseball block. Coming up after this, we got NFL and a brand new segment. Stay tuned.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back.
Dad!
You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
There's so many rewards in life. You coming into our home was one of the greatest rewards we could have ever had.
You know, it took 20 years, and I got my third child, who was 17 at the time.
It's so cool to watch the adult that you've become, and you really have done as much for us as you think we've done for you.
Most of my family, they never graduated high school or even let alone go to college, so I'm trying to break that barrier. Every day after work, went straight to school, studied hard, and it paid off. I could not have done it alone. I see the future is really bright for me. The high school diploma is just added to the confidence, and now I feel unstoppable.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
We have a brand new block to test out. Let's try it out on these guys. It's called Drama Kings. Now, it's Wednesday, so you know we have to talk about some Stiller football. The AFC North has been a point of contention on this show all fall, and last Thursday's 33-31 collapse against the Joe Flacco Bengals throws an even bigger wrench into the division. As with any tough loss, there are doomers galore piping up, saying the Steelers have already fumbled the AFC North despite being 4-2 with the division lead. Nate, is it over for the Lurs? Is this an overreaction?
Are we serious right now? No, it's not over. This is an insane overreaction. The Steelers seem to lose a game like this every single season. And you know, the most important games left on their schedule are still ahead of them. I don't take the Bengals seriously to win the division still. I don't think they're a threat. The only one is the Ravens. The Steelers are still 3 games ahead of them, and they have 2 games against them. That's a big deal. So when they take on the Packers and the Colts this upcoming 2 weeks, it'll be a big deal to see where the Steelers are at.
See, I actually disagree with your point. I think the schedule is the reason why. Look at these teams they have to play. The Packers, the Colts, the Chargers, the Bears have come up to be somebody, the Bills, and then they get the Ravens twice, actually. They get the Ravens twice whenever Lamar comes back. This is a loaded schedule. They needed to stack as many wins as they could whenever the schedule was weak, including the Joe Flacco-led Bengals. Instead, they lose that one, because if I would have told you the Steelers are going to go 5-1, and then with this schedule the rest of the way, they go 500, which is something I could see happening, you'd take that. That puts them at, what, somewhere around an 11-ish win season, something like that? I'm bad at math. But That's where you would take it. Instead, this drops them down to that 10-win window. I don't know if that's going to win the division. And one of the big problems I have with what you said is the Steelers lose this game every year. You want to know what doesn't happen? Every year. The Steelers don't win the division every year. So yeah, I'd argue the fact that they do this every year and the fact that it happened again is exactly the reason they won't win the AFC North.
I'm actually not too worried about this game because, you know, when they take on the Ravens, if they win both games, we can basically say the division's locked up. Even if they can take one, that goes a long way to putting them in a great spot to win the division. As long as they can handle business the rest of the way against their divisional opponents, that'll be a big deal. And then if they can just have a few wins here and there against those tough opponents they're basically the top of their division, just take care of business there, they'll be fine. They'll do a good job.
Yeah, I'm sure if everyone could just take care of business against the Colts, they would, except for the reason they're, 5-1, 6-1, is because it's difficult. The rest of these games are going to be a difficult grind week in, week out. The Steelers aren't beating Josh Allen. He seems to just beat the crap out of him every time he gets the opportunity, along with half these teams. Caleb Williams is even figuring it out for the Bears. They needed to stack wins when they could so that they could afford to drop a couple down the stretch. Instead, they didn't do that, and I think it's going to be to their detriment.
And we'll see what happens in the AFC North, but let's head over to the AFC South. As we head into Week 8 of the NFL season, no team has shocked the league more than the Indianapolis Colts. After benching Anthony Richardson and announcing Daniel Jones would be the Week 1 starter, most wrote Indy off as an afterthought. But the Colts have proved to be anything but, standing at 6-1, the best record in the league. They also have the most points per drive of any team ever at 3.38. Not this season, in league history. So, Cam, are the Shane Steichen, Daniel Jones Colts the best offense this decade? Or is this an overreaction?
This is quite simply an overreaction. Don't get me wrong. They've been absolutely absurd. Two things. Let me see them do it for all 17. I don't think they're going to be able to. And the reason I don't think they're going to be able to do it for all 17 and the reason I don't think they're the best offense this decade is because this is a quarterback-driven league. I understand just how good Jonathan Taylor has been, but running back doesn't seal it for being the best of the best. You need a Josh Allen, a Patrick Mahomes, someone like that to lead you to the best. Could they be one of the best? Yes. Could they finish top 5? Yes, I do think Jonathan Taylor is that special. But I do think to get to that number one bona fide best you've ever seen, you need the quarterback. And I understand Daniel Jones has been good, but, you know, I don't know if 7 games is going to impact the other 5 years I've seen of him.
I think it's important to remember who he played for those 5 years you've seen of him. He played with the Giants, one of the worst situations.
Where he had Jonathan Taylor, a.k.a. Saquon Barkley, behind him the whole time. Don't get me wrong, I understand. I'll let you finish your thought in a second, but if that's going to be your argument, he's had an elite running back behind him before.
I actually don't. The thing is, I don't really care about the running back. I care about the coach, who was a major improvement going over to the Colts. Shane Steichen seems like an offensive genius.
That'll give
The offensive line was a disaster with the Giants. It looks like something he can play behind with the Colts. And then he has some reliable weapons. He is one of the most electric tight ends in the league in Tyler Warren. He might be even the best tight end in the league. And then he's got a great complement of receivers with Michael Pittman, Josh Downs, and Alec Pierce. They all present different abilities, and they do great things on the field.
And Cam, to your point about the league being now more than ever a quarterback-driven league, I don't think that's true at all. The 2020s have proved that rosters are more important than anything. And as you can see from this graphic right here, these Colts, despite not having a top 5 quarterback, they're destroying 33.1 points per game, 6.4 yards per play. We already talked about the points per drive in 3.46. Punts, they had the fewest punts. It's an unbelievable offense. And the Eagles last year won with I don't want to say subpar, but he's definitely not a star quarterback, Jalen Hurts.
I know some people that would very much disagree with that.
Yeah, I know some
Although
as well.
I understand where you're coming from. That being said, I just disagree about the quarterback-driven league thing. We always see these teams that do well throughout the regular season, and then Sam Darnold falls apart. And then whoever falls apart through the end of the league, don't get me wrong, someone can do it for 7, 10, 13 weeks, but eventually that not top-tier quarterback falls apart when it needs to happen.
Speaking of Sam Darnold, after 6 games, his former team, the Minnesota Vikings, sit at the bottom of the NFC North standings at a measly 3-3. With a notoriously impatient fan base, many are already out on J.J. McCarthy, pointing to the success of this season of former Vikes quarterbacks Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones, as well as the so-called success of backup quarterback Carson Wentz. Fans and media personalities alike are saying QM Kwesi Adofo-Mensah and Coach Kevin O'Connell made a fireable decision in trading up for the J.J. McCarthy in the 2024 draft, citing the Vikings quarterback situation as the messiest in the league. And boys, I gotta say, this is an overreaction, big time. I mean, he's played 2 regular season games.
I completely agree. That being said, Sam Darnold looks better than I ever thought he could. Daniel Jones being on the team last year for, what was just practice squad, whatever, he looks better than I ever thought he could. But this Kevin O'Connell is an absolute genius, and if Vikings fans want to fire him, please, please. The Steelers could use an offensive coordinator, and I think he'd be perfect for the job. But no, I don't think it's a fireable offense. I don't even think this is a very big mistake. J.J. McCarthy is still going to be really good. He has all the arm talent in the world, except he's got the small enough frame that although he didn't run, the thoughts were going to be he was going to run a 4.5 40 if he ran at the combine. This is a true dual threat quarterback, and I think giving up on a young guy who came out of the draft young, people forget, came out a year younger than most guys, is still going to be really good.
He's barely older than us. He is 22 years old.
All right, so we got a Michigan Wolverine fan and a Minnesota Vikings fan trying to tell me that J.J. McCarthy is good. As a Texas Longhorns fan, I have to tell you I respect being delusional, but he's not good. This is a disaster of a move. They should have kept Sam Darnold. He's much better than J.J. McCarthy. I wouldn't let this guy have the keys to my franchise. I see you're stressed out, Zach. What are you thinking?
It's just, all right, first of all, I want to set the record straight. The Vikings did not let Sam Darnold walk. They offered him money, and Seattle offered him a lot more money. So that's just not something that happened. And why would you not trust your guy that you drafted? And you could say, why did you draft him? He is a proven winner. He is a young guy. He's got that mentality. And Kevin O'Connell, I trust him more than anyone with any quarterback. I mean, the only reason people talk about Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones the way they do is because they made quarterback stops there, and he got them coached up. And Sam Darnold, I love the guy. He would never be what he is right now without last year's season with Kevin O'Connell and the Vikings, and both of you agree with that.
Not to mention, everyone said about J.J. McCarthy coming out of the draft, he's raw, he needs molded. If you want to disagree with me when I say that I think Kevin O'Connell is the best person in the world to mold a raw quarterback, feel free. But J.J. McCarthy's still raw. Kevin O'Connell still has time to get his hands on him. And I think as a result, J.J. McCarthy's going to be really, really good.
You can also say that he's been horrible, which is just false. Josh Allen also struggled against the Falcons. I want to say that.
Peyton Manning threw a bunch of picks his first
Amen
year.
to that, brother. But I want to ask you a question. Who do you think beats the Bears after that third quarter?
Probably Sam Darnold.
I hate this guy.
And that's all we got for this block. We're going to head after this break. We're going to hear from Cam Wickline and his running back mountain. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after these messages.
Oh, sweetie. Okay, you know what? Let's take off his sweatshirt. Get rid of pictures of him. You don't have to look at him. Goodbye, Dave.
Mom, you don't understand. He's tagged in like 400 of my posts.
I can cut out tags.
No, that's not how it works.
What is a tag?
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care would love to share their firsts with you.
So recently, Gallo has been on quite a run of good shows lately.
That was a big opponent to beat there, but now they move on to the Three Rivers Classic, where they've had some pretty good history in it. We're going to take a look at some of these games. They've won it a couple times. We're going to move on into that.
But it's led to the group starting to question his morals.
And that's when I said, you can't wear a sweater vest. Ian Kist wore a sweater vest. Hang on. It's go time. You seeing this? You seeing these?
Can't believe
You
this.
seeing this literature? Hey, Gallo!
Yo, what's up?
What about these PEDs? Huh? These, get on the ground.
It's a shame. Always happens to the best. That's it.
Welcome back to Sports Talk in the Burgh. Now, everyone knows the fourth weekend of October is National Tight Ends Day, but did you know that October 19th is National Running Back Day? Well, it is now thanks to the NBC production crew on Sunday night's Niners-Falcons game. Holidays can't catch on unless people know about them, though, and what better way to showcase our league's backs than ranking the best of the best? And who better for the job than Cam Wickline?
In honor of National Running Backs Day being last Sunday, I've decided to give my take on who I feel the best RBs in the league are. First, a few stipulations. This list only includes players who are healthy, so no Amarion Hampton, no James Conner. Also, if a player does not make the mountain, then I do not believe that they are worthy of owning their own backfield. Now that that's out of the way, let's get into my first tier. At the bottom of the mountain is what I call the deserving starters. These are guys I believe are starting caliber, and if they are on a team, then that front office doesn't have to worry about their running back position. This is the lowest caliber that I believe deserves their own backfield. It's Travis Etienne, Josh Jacobs, Cam Scatterbo, DeAndre Swift, J.K. Dobbins, Dave Montgomery, and Chase Brown. I'd guess Josh Jacobs is the guy that sticks out here, but he's under 4 yards a carry and has no runs over 20 yards on the season. If you're not going to catch the ball, it's got to be better than that on the ground for me. Scatterbo, however, is a ton of fun to watch, but there's genuine durability concerns given he hits everything with his head. And Chase Brown simply needs an offensive line. The next tier of guys that I'd consider to be an asset and a weapon. It's James Cook, Jalen Warren, Kyron Williams, Rico Dowdle, Quinshon Judkins, and Breece Hall. Now, this is a lot of guys that I didn't really know what to do with for one reason or another. I think James Cook and Kyron Williams benefit from their situations. And on the flip side, I think Breece Hall, Jalen Warren, and Quinshon Judkins' situations hurt them. Rico Dowdle, however, has been absurd for 2 games. Now, here's the top 10 guys. Absolute studs that you build game plans around, unless you're the Seahawks with Kenneth Walker, but we'll get there. This is Jahmyr Gibbs, Kenneth Walker, Devon Achane, Derrick Henry, and Ashton Jeanty. Jeanty's too young, but he looks crazy with the ball in his hands. Henry has the history of being good to stay in this tier. Gibbs and Achane are the 2 that could probably be higher. And lastly, anyone with eyes knows how good Kenneth Walker is. I'm just pretty sure the entire Seahawks organization is blind. Now, top 5, here's the game wreckers. Guys that get 20 touches a game and do the most with them. Guys defensive coordinators lose sleep over. It's Javonte Williams, Saquon Barkley, and Jonathan Taylor. Javonte Williams is second in the league in rushing and is catching 4 balls a game. He's the best offensive story of the year. Saquon is the opposite. Always been a stud, just not so much this year, but I'm not ready to move him. And Jonathan Taylor speaks for himself. He's probably going to win the Offensive Player of the Year. Lastly, the best of the best. Bijan Robinson and Christian McCaffrey are the interchangeable 1A and 1B of best running backs in the league. I could throw stats at you, but what's the point? Both of them are getting a gazillion touches a game and are going a gazillion yards with them. Put either of them in any offense in the league, and I fully believe nothing changes statistically.
So if you're not going to throw stats at us, I will. CMC averages 3.5 yards a carry. That's 44th in the NFL. That's awful.
He also averages 4.5 a carry on his whole career. He's getting 30-plus touches a game. Yeah, I'd be willing to bet efficiency drops a little bit.
Congrats. That's still not better than the soon-to-be Offensive Player in the Year, Jonathan Taylor.
And how good was he last year?
Doesn't matter about last year. We're talking about this year.
Give me the dude that's been doing it a decade.
I don't care if he's
dude,
done it
watch
a
him
decade.
watch him with the ball in his hands. He's absurd.
Jonathan Taylor is also a fantasy
also
RB run like a couple of years ago.
I'm talking about literally a tier below, guys. This feels like a little bit of a lot to
All right, well, where was Jordan Mason?
Let's move on past
Jordan Mason, I don't believe he deserves to have his own backfield. He never has for a reason.
Oh, my goodness. He took it away from Aaron Jones this year.
How are we putting Rico Dowdle there over Chuba Hubbard? Chuba Hubbard got paid millions last year for his performance.
Honestly, Rico Dowdle, I had no clue what to do with. 300-plus yards in 2 games, just But I couldn't ignore him. But like I don't know. I don't think he's gonna stay there. He's
And
never
K9
been good before.
K9 got his job stolen by Zach Charbonnet.
K9 did not get his job stolen. I don't know what's up with the Seahawks. Charbonnet is averaging 2.5 a carry, and it makes me angry.
And that's all we got for this week's edition of Sports Talk in the Burgh. Make sure you tune in next week. That's all we got. Have a good one. I needed to make sure.